Have you ever spent hours studying something only to realize a few days later that almost all of it is gone? Maybe you were preparing for an exam, learning a new skill for work, or simply reading a book you genuinely wanted to remember. You highlighted, you reread, you took notes, and it felt productive. But when the moment came to recall the information, your mind suddenly went blank. And in that moment, it's easy to think, maybe my memory just isn't good. Maybe I'm just not the kind of person who remembers well. Maybe I'll never be able to learn like other people. But I want you to hear this clearly. The problem is not your intelligence. The problem is not your ability. And it's definitely not that your brain is weak. The real issue is the strategy, because most of us were never taught how memory actually works. We were told to read and repeat, to highlight and hope, to cram information into our heads and expect it to stay. But memory, real memory, doesn't work like that. Memory is not about repetition. Memory is about connection. Your brain has a natural system for remembering things. It goes through three stages: encoding, storage, retrieval. How you take in the information, how you organize it, and how you bring it back when you need it. And when even one of those steps is weak, the memory simply doesn't stay. But here's the good news: memory is not a fixed talent. It is a trainable skill, just like playing an instrument or building muscle or learning a language. And once you understand how your brain actually forms memories, you can start to remember more with less effort and in less time. So in today's video, I'm going to show you the science-backed methods used by memory champions, top students, and world-class thinkers. Methods that allow you to remember what you learn, not just today, but for life. Take a breath. Let's begin. 2. Storage. How the brain organizes information. Once something is encoded, your brain needs to store it. But the brain doesn't store things randomly. It stores information by creating connections, associations, patterns, relationships. This is why you can remember song lyrics from years ago, but struggle to remember something you studied yesterday. The song is connected to rhythm, emotion, repetition, memories. It has meaning, but that thing you memorized from the textbook, it wasn't connected to anything. And the brain does not keep what it cannot connect. So, memory is not about repetition. Memory is about connection. 3. Retrieval, bringing the memory back when needed. This is the part most people struggle with, because knowing something is not the same as being able to recall it. Retrieval is the act of pulling information out of storage and bringing it to the front of your mind. If you never practice recalling it, even if the memory is stored, it becomes hard to access. This is why students reread their notes over and over and feel confident, but then forget everything during the test. They practiced reviewing, not remembering. So why do we forget? Most people forget because 1, they read and highlight, but they don't actively engage. Weak encoding. 2, they don't review the material at the right times. The memory fades before it becomes stable. This is called the forgetting curve. 3, they never practice recalling the information. Retrieval never develops. And here is a simple truth that explains the entire memory process. If you don't use it, your brain deletes it. Not out of cruelty, not because you're not smart, but because the brain is efficient. If your brain thinks something is unimportant, it clears the space. So the question becomes, how do we signal to the brain that what we're learning matters? How do we make memories stick? How do we remember things long term without studying for endless hours? That is what we're about to explore next. In the next section, I'll show you 4 powerful science-backed methods that memory champions use. Methods that allow you to remember more with less time and less effort. Let's move forward. The 4 proven techniques to remember anything. Now that we understand how memory works, let's talk about how to make it stronger. not by studying longer, but by studying smarter. There are four science-backed techniques that have been proven over and over again to dramatically improve memory. Let's go through them one by one. Technique number one, active recall. Most people study by rereading or reviewing their notes, but rereading is passive. Your eyes are moving, but your brain isn't working. To remember something, your brain needs to work to retrieve it. That effort is what strengthens the memory. So instead of asking, how can I review this again? Ask, how can I test myself on this? Close the book, look away from the screen, and try to recall the idea from your mind. It might feel harder, it might feel uncomfortable, but that struggle is where memory is built. Your brain remembers what it struggles to retrieve. That means the harder you try to remember, the more likely you are to remember it long term. Technique 2, spaced repetition. Next, we need to talk about time, because even if you encode something well, your brain will gradually forget it if you don't revisit it. This is called the forgetting curve. Right after learning something, your memory is strong, but within days, sometimes hours, that memory begins to fade. The solution is not to cram. The solution is to review the material at specific intervals. Here's the simple pattern. Day 1, first learning. Day 3, first review. Day 7, second review. Day 14, third review. Day 30, final review. Each review strengthens the memory and slows down the forgetting curve. A little bit of review at the right time is more powerful than hours of cramming. Technique number 3, the Feynman technique, named after Nobel Prize winning physicist Richard Feynman. He believed that if you can't explain something simply, you don't understand it well enough. So here's what you do. Take what you're learning and explain it out loud, as if you're teaching someone else. You can talk to a friend, record yourself, or even speak to an empty room. When you explain something, your brain is forced to organize the information clearly. This makes gaps in your understanding visible. And once the gaps are visible, you know exactly what to strengthen. Teaching is not the final step of learning. Teaching is learning. Technique number 4, create meaning and associations. The brain doesn't remember words. It remembers images, stories, and emotions. So instead of trying to memorize information as is, connect it to something meaningful. Turn abstract ideas into pictures. Turn lists into stories. Turn facts into anchors you already know. Example, you need to remember apple, train, candle, ocean. Rather than memorize the list, create a mini story. You're eating an apple on a train. Suddenly, the lights go out, so you light a candle and realize the train is floating on the ocean. Now your brain doesn't see random words, it sees a vivid scene. Memory loves imagination. Memory loves images. Memory loves stories. Bringing it all together to remember anything you learn. 1, active recall, test yourself. 2, spaced repetition, review at strategic intervals. 3, Feynman technique, teach it simply. 4, association and storytelling, make it meaningful. These 4 techniques turn learning into something natural, not forced. And when you combine them, you begin to remember things effortlessly. But there's one more thing we need to address, because even with the best memory techniques, if your mind is distracted, nothing gets encoded. And that brings us to the next section, how to study with focus, clarity, and zero distractions. Let's move forward. How to study with focus and zero distractions. Now that you know how memory works and you have the techniques to make information stick, there's one more piece of the puzzle that most people ignore. Focus. Because no matter how powerful your memory strategies are, they simply cannot work if your mind is scattered. Attention is the doorway to memory. If your attention is weak, nothing gets encoded, nothing gets stored, nothing stays. You cannot remember what you never fully noticed. Why focus matters. Have you ever read the same sentence 3 times and still couldn't recall what it said? Your eyes were reading, but your mind was somewhere else. Maybe thinking about messages, maybe replaying a conversation, maybe drifting into worry. This is what divided attention does. It blocks encoding at the very first step. So strengthening your memory starts with strengthening your attention. Let's talk about how to do that. Technique number 1, the Pomodoro focus cycle. Instead of studying for long, exhausting hours, use simple focus cycles. 25 minutes of deep focus, 5 minutes of rest, then repeat. Why does this work? Because your brain can maintain high concentration for short, intentional bursts. But when you try to push beyond your natural limit, focus collapses and your mind begins to drift. So set a timer, choose one task, and give it your full presence for just 25 minutes. This turns studying into something manageable, not overwhelming. Technique 2, put your phone out of reach, not face down, not on silent, not on the table, out of reach, across the room, in a drawer, in another space. Because even if you don't touch it, just seeing your phone pulls your attention. The mind is always listening for the next notification, even when none are coming. So protect your attention like something valuable, because it is. Technique number 3, single tasking, not multitasking. Multitasking sounds productive, but scientifically it is the opposite. Every time you switch between two tasks, your brain pays a switching cost. Your focus resets, your memory resets, your clarity resets. Do one thing, finish one idea, give your mind one direction. This is how depth happens. This is how learning sticks. Environment also matters. Your surroundings shape your mental state. If your desk is full of clutter, your mind will feel cluttered. If your screen has 10 tabs open, your thoughts will scatter. If your workspace is full of distractions, your attention will be divided. So build an environment that supports calm. Clear your desk. Close everything you don't need. Create space that invites focus. You are training your brain to associate this place with learning. Bringing it together, focus is not something you wait for. Focus is something you create. Short cycles of deep concentration, phone out of reach, one task at a time, clean, intentional environment. These are the foundations of real learning. Because the truth is simple. You cannot remember what you never fully noticed. So give your mind the chance to be here, not somewhere else. And when your attention deepens, your memory will follow. Turn learning into identity. We've talked about how memory works. We've talked about how to make it stronger. We've talked about focus and attention. But none of this truly matters if you don't stay consistent. And consistency does not come from motivation. Motivation rises and falls. Some days you feel inspired. Some days you feel tired. Some days you feel unstoppable. Some days you feel nothing at all. So if you rely on motivation, your learning will be inconsistent. It will come in waves, intense, then gone. Real consistency comes from something deeper, identity. Identity shapes action. When you say, I want to study more, that's a wish. But when you say, I'm a person who learns every day, that's an identity. And identity is powerful because we behave in alignment with who we believe we are. If you believe, I'm bad at remembering things, your brain will reinforce that belief. But if you believe, I am someone who learns, I am someone who grows, then studying is no longer a task. It becomes part of you. It becomes natural, effortless, automatic. Small daily learning compounds. You do not need to study for 3 hours a day. You do not need perfect discipline. You do not need to move mountains. What matters is consistency. Just 20 minutes a day, just one topic at a time, just one small step repeated, because small steps compound, and compounding is how mastery is built. This is how musicians become world class. This is how athletes become elite. This is how great minds are formed, not from intensity, but from continuity. A simple shift. So starting today, don't say, I'll try to study more. Say, I am a learner. I am someone who invests in my mind. I grow a little every day. Because when learning becomes part of your identity, not a chore, you stop needing pressure. You stop negotiating with yourself. You simply do it the way you breathe, the way you walk, the way you live. Learning becomes who you are. In the final part of this video, we're going to bring everything together. We're going to reflect, breathe, and close with clarity. When you're ready, let's move to the final reflection. Closing reflection, CTA. Take a moment with me. Just breathe. Let everything we've covered settle for a second. Because what we've talked about today is not just about studying. It's not just about memorizing facts or passing tests. It's about understanding your mind. It's about realizing that memory, the ability to remember, to learn, to grow, is not something you're born with or without. Memory is not a gift. It is a trained skill. And the fact that you are here, watching this, listening, absorbing, reflecting, means that skill is already waking up inside you. Your brain is capable of more than you think, more than you've ever been told, more than your past results have ever suggested. You are not bad at remembering. You have simply been using a method that was never designed for your success. Now, you know better. You know that memory begins with attention. You know that learning sticks through connection. You know that recall strengthens through practice. And you know that consistency comes from identity, from seeing yourself as someone who learns, grows, evolves every day. And if you take even one step from what we discussed today, your memory will begin to shift. Not overnight, not instantly, but gradually, steadily, beautifully. Your turn. Let's do this together. I want to ask you something, and I truly mean this. What's one thing you're learning right now that you want to remember better? It could be a language, a skill, a course, a topic for work, even a personal interest. Share it in the comments below. Tell me what you're learning, and I'll help you build your own personal memory plan based on it. Your journey doesn't end here. This is where it begins. Closing message. Your mind is powerful. Your potential is real. Your growth is happening, even now. You don't need to rush. You don't need to perfect it. You simply need to continue. You are a learner. You are evolving, and you are capable of remembering more than you ever believed. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you in the next video.